Hello everyone, Cody Vidal here with Vital Information. We have a good one on tonight. This morning we had Fernando Gonzalez of Bellator, of Team Quest, and Dan Henderson's Athletic Fitness Center. Dan Henderson, that's right. And we had James Lights Out Tony, legendary boxer, middleweight, and heavyweight champ of the world. James Tony was a pleasure, as well as Fernando. But tonight, again, show goes on. We have Pat Miletich on air. So, if you missed James Tony live, you could go to Vital Information, at Vital Information. If you missed Fernando, same thing, go to at Vital Information. I do all of my videos here because my page doesn't allow me to do interviews, doesn't allow me to add somebody into the video. So all my live videos are done on my personal page and then sent to the Vital Information page where you can watch them at any time. So, with having said that, at 7 o'clock sharp, we will have Pat Miletich on. I see Fernando's on here watching. Thank you very much, Fernando, for tuning in. John Chu, Bobby Davis, Ed Harris. Like this, share this. Please share it. Please get as many people on here as possible. This morning, Fernando talked a little bit about his fight. Either this week or after his fight, we will have him back on. Thank you so much again, Fernando. I love you. I wish you the best in life. I wish you the best in the cage, and I firmly believe that you're gonna beat Lorenz Larkin. With having said that, I just got back from Wilson Creek Winery. Had some good experiences there, talking with some family. It's good to give back to the world, you know. I just posted a status about it. I met a little kid who I could tell right away didn't have a father. I could just tell right away. I have a strong intuition. And I started playing Jenga with him, started playing some cornhole with him, and talked to his grandmother and found out that his father was shot and killed when he was 7 months old. He was a 10-year-old kid, and he has this sense of shyness to him. He doesn't seem to be very masculine, and it's in there. It's in there because it was in there in me. You know, I wasn't raised by men. I was raised by women mainly. And when you miss out on a father figure, or if you miss out on a mother figure, you're gonna have some type of issues. So having a mother and a father in your life, or a mother and a father figure, really matters most. So with having said that, you know, I was able to make the kid smile, and I told him, hey, look, man, here's my number. Stay in touch. I'll be in your life as much as I can. It was about a half hour away, but that's nothing. That is nothing. So just sharing my experiences, just to influence others to love other people, man. We walk by people every day. We don't know. We don't know them. They're strangers, but they could be going through hardships. And you know, I just preach to people to try not to judge, and I can judge very easily. I'm judge and jury every now and then, and you know, I don't like that about myself. I don't like when people do it to me, so why would I do it to somebody else? So, just want to share some wisdom with that. But it's 6:59. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add Pat on right now. So everybody, get ready for Pat Miletich. Feel free to ask questions. If you're gonna be stupid, that's fine. I don't care. But if you want to have Pat answer questions, ask some awesome questions. By the way, Pat really doesn't care about fighting, although he's an MMA legend and he's a commentator. Pat's going to talk about more interesting subjects like the modern issues that we see today. So, hey Kathy, old neighbor you, thanks for tuning in. Like it, share it, Vital Information. We're here to talk about anything and all that matters to you. So, just waiting for Pat to get on here. Kyle, how you doing, brother? Take a swig of water. Kind of dehydrated. How about them Eagles? Fly, Eagles, fly. I'm not technically an Eagles fan. I like the Eagles, but my grandfather, who's deceased, he raised me. He was an Eagles fan, and he never saw him see a Super Bowl. And I firmly believe this is the year. I firmly believe this is the year that the Eagles will win. And I said that a while ago. So, just waiting for Pat to jump on here. So, Anyway, till Pat gets on here, does anybody have any questions for me? Go ahead, shoot some questions my way. Nobody has questions? Okay. There's 2 people viewing, 3 people viewing now. Donna, neighbor. I got Kathy Dempsey and Donna Donlin, my old neighbors in Pennsylvania. One to my left, one to my right. Hope y'all are doing great. And I hope y'all are happy about the Eagles' victory. Eagles and Patriots in the Super Bowl, huh? 2018. Donald Trump's the president. Eagles are going to win their first Super Bowl. And we might enter World War III. Hey, Chew, is Eckert watching us or not? Are you with him? There he is.
Hey, how you doing, Cody?
I'm doing great. Ladies and gentlemen, the legendary Pat Miletich.
Hey, so here's the situation. I left my wall charger to my phone over at my business partner's house. The guy I'm partners with in law enforcement and military training. Fire Horse Combatives is our company. So I left that over at his house last night, charging my phone while watching the Stipe Miocic Ngannou fight, and so I'm in my Ford Excursion diesel in my garage charging my phone in my truck. So this is how I have to do the show tonight.
That's absolutely fine. And here's the thing, man. You don't got to stay any longer than you want to. If you want to stay for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, that's fine. I don't hold anybody on here. I'm
Yeah,
just
no,
glad.
we'll have fun. We'll have fun. I was just letting you know why the surroundings were what they were.
Well, hey, I had Vince Pichel on here. He was in his car. Antonio McKee was in his car. So it's only suiting that
Right?
you're in your car.
But at least I'm not driving.
That's right. At least you're not driving. So, ladies and gentlemen, legendary Pat Miletich, MMA legend, MMA commentator, but he's much more than that. We're not going to talk too much about MMA unless you guys have some questions. But Pat is a very smart guy. He's very woke, as you millennials say. So, with having said that, I'm going to ask Pat first question. First question is, Pat, what is on your mind? What do you want to talk about most?
Oh, I mean, there's so many things going on right now. I mean, the political atmosphere, the current is so crazy right now that I mean, there's so many things, geopolitical, domestic policy stuff. You know, in regards to what you and I had previously talked about, message back and forth yesterday a little bit, and about the government shutdown. So I told you I was going to reach out and talk to some of the folks that I know in the government and military and stuff like that, and I don't reveal my sources simply because some of the stuff is so sensitive that I'm not going to burn those bridges and get anybody in trouble, of course, and a lot of people, I even have said to the mainstream media reports when they say unnamed sources and this and that, yeah, but you got to name your sources. I get why people do that, but in this case, I really kind of have to do that because these people are current Pentagon military enlisted, and I'm not going to jeopardize their positions. But yeah, they said that they're not getting paid. They won't get paid. A lot of the schools, the special schools where people are being shipped off to or currently are at, they will have to leave those training schools for the military and go back to their bases. Um, the health care for the military, the essential stuff, or I should say the emergency stuff, would be taken care of. Everything else, elective procedures and stuff, will not be taken care of. I guess that means sex changes won't be happening, which, that's not all bad. We want those people to have a second chance, you know.
Second chance.
Right. We want you to double think what you're about to do. Um, and
Bro,
honestly, I
cut
don't
your
care what.
dick off.
Well, yeah, but ultimately, look, I don't care what people want to do, who they want to sleep with. None of that stuff really matters in the big scheme of things, right? It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't hurt anybody else. Do what you want to do with your life. Whatever makes you happy, as long as you're not hurting other people. Not, you're not abusing animals and kids in your bedroom. Great. You do whatever the fuck you want. But besides that, it is what it is. But not to go off on a tangent. But yeah, the military's not getting paid. and it's not good. But I think it goes much deeper than that, Cody. I think that this is, if anybody that's paying attention to the undercurrents, what's going on behind the scenes with, in regards to the deep state, and your general liberal friends will tell you that the deep state doesn't exist. Well, we're the open-minded people who understand that the deep state does exist. It's a business model in government for, since the close of World War II. It is on the left and on the right, and we're more than willing to admit that. And the people that are on the far left or far right establishment type hacks who call us crazy for not, or call us crazy because they won't admit it, or don't want to admit it, well, they're the tinfoil hat wearers. It is a business model. It needs to be gotten rid of. Everybody's sick of the establishment bullshit and the business model and the corruption, and the corruption goes so far into not only weapons and arms trafficking, fomenting wars, transporting human organs, transporting kids, the sex trafficking stuff. There have been major corporations connected to government contracts busted for this stuff. People need to wake up.
That brings me to this quote. It's a very cliche quote. Everybody knows it that has two ears and a working brain. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And if people are not regulated, they will turn into monsters.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is, where is the moral fiber in this country right now? Look, you and I are not without sin. We have done some stupid stuff. I've done probably 10 times far worse stuff in my life than you have, but I have regrets. I have morals. I have thoughts. I have hindsight. I have correction. I'm trying to better myself all the time, and I'm not out there. I don't wake up every day. You have to put yourself in the mindset of the establishment elite and think about the way they wake up every day. I'm a guy that's got 3 daughters trying to figure out how to save enough money to put them through college, where elite are waking up every day figuring out how to control the resources of the globe to make their kids big. While I'm on this video, do not private message me because it shuts me down. So
I hear that.
comment on Cody's section here with questions or whatever. Do not send me a private message because it shuts me down on this video and I can't hear Cody.
Yeah, please, guys, have some respect for him. Comment right there. We'll answer your questions. Feel free to talk about whatever.
Yeah. Comment on the video that we're doing right now, and we can talk. Stuff that we talk about a lot. I had a lady on one of my buddies who I wrestled with growing up. Probably one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen, John Groves. He and I have disagreements politically, but he's a good guy, right? He'll debate common sense stuff, and he agrees with a lot of the stuff that I say, things like that. But I made a comment on one of his posts on Facebook, and a lady got on there and said, I'll debate you anytime, anywhere. And she said, pick a subject. So I picked a subject, and I said, why don't we debate and talk about the fact that the past administration and Hillary Clinton's State Department funded and armed ISIS and al-Nusra. Why don't we talk about that? And she didn't, after she said, you pick the subject, and I posted the subject, then she switched to the shutdown and talked about all kinds of negative stuff about Republicans, this and that. And I said, wait a minute, slow down, hold on. Let's discuss what I just said. You told me to pick a subject, and she wouldn't do it, and she stayed on the government shutdown. I'll just tell you that the people at the Pentagon that I've talked to and other enlisted folks that I've talked to all feel the same way. The Democrats have gone off the rails. They are moonbat crazy, and they're doing anything they can to disrupt Trump's presidency and stop him from doing what he's going to do, which is turn this country around, get rid of the garbage immigration system that we have currently. And that's not a racist statement, folks. It should be merit-based. It should be people that will add to this country. That's just the way it should be. When my wife came here legally, she had to go through the process. We had to sit in immigration offices across this country and pay all the all the fees and everything else. And it took a decade for her to become a citizen. But we did it right, and I expect everyone else to do that. Okay, so I'm not going to kowtow to the heartstring bullshit argument and specific cases that people come up with in regards to immigration.
You know what I like in this too, Pat? I've seen it in movies and I've heard it from military veterans. When they send a woman, and I mean the evil pricks, when they send a woman or they send a child out to cry, and there's a band, a very famous band called Slayer. They wrote a song called "Mandatory Suicide," and it's literally
Right.
about sending a woman or a child out into the battlefield crying out for help, and they're strapped with bombs. And
Right.
so the politics, and I don't really have a political preference. I mean, obviously I lean more towards the right, obviously, but I
Well,
think
we don't.
that
You and I don't lean either way except towards the Constitution, and that is what's been done away with on the left and the right. I mean, we can talk Mitch McConnell, we can talk Ryan, the Speaker of the House, we can talk, the Democrats, the Pelosi's, the Schumers, the fucking nut jobs that are doing what they're doing right now in D.C. So, yeah, I just tell people, look, on my podcast with Jeff on the Conspiracy Farm, we are equal opportunity roasters. We will destroy John McCain and Lindsey Graham just as bad as we're going to destroy a Hillary Clinton or a Schumer.
exactly. And what I wanted to say about that is that people, especially, and look, if you're a leftist, if you're a liberal, and you have common sense and you have wisdom and whatnot, that's fine. There's the extreme left, and there's the extreme right. But I want to say this: the extreme left, I've noticed that they like to use the heartstrings, like you're saying, to pull and tug on everybody and get them to feel bad, and to demonize
Right.
the opposition, which would be the Republicans or the right. And you see it like this. You see Trump getting hatred for talking about illegal immigration.
Right.
But if you go back a couple years ago, you see Obama talking about the same exact thing. You talk about
And Bill Clinton and
Feinstein.
Hillary Clinton and Schumer and all of them. They were all
Feinstein.
saying the same thing. Right? Look, here's the deal. Um, Nations without borders are not nations, right? There are globalists. There are people out there who actually think, I've got friends on Facebook who actually think a world without borders is like the right thing to do. And a global government, everything else. The globalists have been working at this for a long time. The problem is that now you go from handing over power of nations to the few in those nations to handing over the power of all nations to a very tiny few, right? And when you are a very tiny few who basically control the future of everyone on the planet, I don't trust that to human fallacy, man. I'm not going to trust that to human fallacy. That's why there are city governments to control cities, and the citizens in those cities can hold those people accountable. Then you go out to the county, then you go out to the state, then you go out to the government, the federal government, then you can go into bigger things. But that's why things are segmented to keep everyone honest within all those little sections of government so that it doesn't go awry. Imagine if there's that tiny few that control the entire nation or the entire world, which they're very close to doing now. Okay, if it weren't for Trump, if Hillary would have won, it was a done deal. And it doesn't dawn on people that was upon us. That's what that vote came down to. It was that urgent. And I just don't think people fully comprehend how bad things would have been and how sick things would have gotten. Look, they're criticizing Donald Trump's health and wondering what's going on. They questioned the doctor for an hour with the most moonbat questions you can imagine. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton couldn't get up a flight of fucking stairs during the campaign, you idiots. Fuck you. You know, I sorry for being friggin' rough around the edges, but you know what? You can kiss my ass. You have no common sense. You are lunatics.
Oh, I love it, man. The power that the media has to invoke negative emotions in people is so intense these days with the stupid cell phones we're holding in our hands right now. It's amazing. I'm like, I wish I was a little kid and I could go play Manhunt again and not worry about this crap. But it is what it is. And going back to what you said about Hillary Clinton, look, I didn't vote for Donald Trump because I liked the guy. I actually used to not like the guy. I used to think he was an arrogant, rich dick. But he spoke what he spoke, and I honestly felt like it was from his heart about his American patriotism. As an
Right,
American, as somebody who never served the military but has had family members serve in the military, I have a little bit of shame that I never served the military. I never served the country. But that
right,
doesn't mean that I can't respect the country and honor those who are fighting for my rights.
right,
And what Trump represented to me was the military, those who are giving us this platform to live in, this great country to live in, that you cannot get these same rights or liberties anywhere else in the world. You can't.
right,
And
right.
I know this because I talk to foreigners who have moved here. And so, with having said that, I want to go back to the Donald Trump statement I made. I never liked the guy. I absolutely hated Hillary Clinton for many reasons. And Trump won me over during his debates. Listen, Trump's a dick, right? But he's hilarious. And if you're on the receiving end of his humor, obviously you're not going to like him. Now, I will say this. I do criticize the man for certain things he says, whether they're true or not. He says them in a way that could be considered flagrant, that could be considered obnoxious, or could be considered possibly racist, like calling a place a shithole. And I can see how that invokes negative emotion in people who are from that place. But here's the bottom line. Those people I'm hearing it from literally moved from fucking Africa to here. Why? Because it's not as good of a nation. It's that simple. It's that simple.
Well, Cody, here's the thing. Uh, look, I've said before, I've banned my wife from going to Chicago. Okay, and I look, I shouldn't say that I banned her. I'm just going to say that I've strongly suggested she not go to Chicago anymore. I'm 2.5 hours west of Chicago. Chicago's a war zone, Cody. Okay, Chicago is an absolute war zone. People are being gunned down daily in that city, and it's out of control, and yet it has the strongest gun control laws in the nation. Okay, but so there are places in our own country that could be deemed quote unquote shitholes. Okay,
Mhm.
I've traveled around the world enough, and I've seen some really bad places. I've seen places where I've been told do not go out of the hotel unless you're with a big group and you're all badasses during the day. At night, I don't care how many of you there are, don't go out of the hotel. All right, you run the risk of being butchered. So that's just the way it is. And look, Trump's words were harsh, but they were true. There are some very, very dangerous places around the world. Now, at the same time, I will say this. On the other side, you're going to have a lot of people, especially on the left, and a lot of people on the right who understand the situation of pillaging nations of resources. Look, Rhodesia was a nation that was thriving. It had beautiful ranches. I've got a good buddy who grew up there. And then the Chinese, the Russians, and potentially our government were funding terrorist groups to come across the border into Rhodesia, butcher ranchers, kill them, slaughter babies, I'm telling you some horrendous stuff. They filmed themselves beating babies against brick walls, holding them by the legs and slamming them off brick walls and killing them. They had baby catching parties where they would throw babies up in the air and catch them on the bayonets of their rifles. This
Who
was
was
in
this?
Rhodesia. This was in Rhodesia. Rhodesia.
I'm sorry. Where's Rhodesia?
Rhodesia is South Africa.
Okay.
So right near South Africa. So this is my buddy that I'm very close with. He was at 10 years old. He carried an AK-47 on the ranch. At 10 years old, their Land Rovers were outfit with turrets on top with 24 12-gauge barrels sticking out of the turret. And if they got caught in a riot that were trying to kill them, they could hit a button on the steering wheel that launched buckshot out of 24 barrels into a crowd, killing as many as they needed to get away. Okay, this is the atmosphere that we're talking about. So when people sit there and bitch and whine about what Trump said, the term quote unquote shithole, people need to think, and people obviously haven't traveled enough and haven't seen some really scary stuff. I've seen some scary stuff. I've been in some scary places. So people need to wake up and just let your feelings go, folks. Your feelings really don't fucking matter to anybody.
It goes down to this. You're talking about emotions. The same thing with rights. Rights are, first of all, rights are made up. Okay, we're all born with made up rights, but the only thing that makes them real is the fact that we have men and women in uniform with the U.S. American flag on it, and they're out there and they're protecting us, and they're the ones doing all the dirty work for us, but also for the politicians who are in there doing all the evil work. And
Right.
it's a really messed up world we live in, but we need to be grateful for what we have and stop hating on the American flag and stop hating on America, because you end up disrespecting those people that are getting paid minimum wage to die for you. My
Right.
brother is in
Yeah. No,
Pendleton
without
right
a doubt. I
now.
mean, those are the first and foremost. That's the only reason, Cody, that I truly have faith in this nation are the men and women in the U.S. military. Right. Like, if it really came down to it, I think they're going to do the right thing and figure it out and save things. Right. If things go completely off track, those are the people that are going to stand up for the right reasons and do the right thing. And when you talk about rights, you know, you first have to believe in a creator to understand our rights. Look, if you don't believe in a creator, all right, you can hang up now. But if you believe in a creator, our rights interpreted by our forefathers were given to us through our creator, right? So
Hmm.
ultimately, no man can take them away. So my right to defend myself, no matter how I choose fit. Now, are there limits? Should Pat Miletich own a Tesla pulse weapon that can destroy everything around me? Yes, I believe you should. And I'm actually, I won't even say it. I'm writing a screenplay on it. But I can tell you this: that imagine if everyone owned a Tesla pulse weapon, there wouldn't be one argument. People get along just fine, wouldn't they? Right?
Just like in Texas.
So, right, right, exactly, in Texas and Arizona and other places. Here's the thing. It's not your right to tell me I can't protect my family. We protect diamonds, money. We protect politicians. We protect actors, singers, guys walking around in black suits carrying what? Guns, right? So these are the very same Hollywood lunatics and Washington, D.C. politicians who are telling us that we shouldn't be able to protect our children the same way. The most precious thing in my life, my kids, and I can't protect them with my Second Amendment, really. And I think that, and to go further, we'll go on the First Amendment. What Donald Trump is doing on Twitter is absolutely 100%, for many reasons, bypassing the bullshit media, but also reaffirming to everyone in this country that the First Amendment should be alive and well and practiced. No matter what you want to say. You can say anything stupid you want to, but that's part of the First Amendment.
Talking about Trump, whether you like him or not, he has more publicity on him than anybody. And they say no publicity is bad publicity. And that's kind of a lie, but because obviously if like somebody found out you were a pedophile, you wouldn't want that publicized. But
Oh shit.
Donald and people say Donald Trump's a pedophile and completely disregard all the other people and stuff like that. It's like this one big crap show in America. And look, I personally am not defending the guy. All I gotta say is that one, what you just said about the First Amendment, he's exercising it. He's doing exactly he's doing exactly what this new age mentality is doing. Everybody jumps on the internet, everybody gives their opinion. So why can't our president, the leader, do it? I mean, that's how he stays in touch with everybody. He's not going to get a fair shake in the media. They're only going to give
Right.
snippets of what he says instead of the whole speech. And like they sent out a snippet of him saying he doesn't want he doesn't like the fact that people are born on the ninth month. He meant to say aborted, and people can't get
Yeah,
that.
he did. He meant to say aborted, and they're losing their minds, and they're
They
completely
can't
lunatic.
get that he made a mistake. Sometimes I call
Right.
my wife a different name. Does that make me a piece of shit? Does that make me a stupid person?
Wait a
No.
minute.
I
What
have a
did you just
thousand.
say? Wait a minute. What did you just say?
Sometimes I call my wife instead of calling her Jaden, I call her Yulia, her Russian name. Does that make me stupid? No.
Oh,
You
I thought you were calling her like a stripper name or something from something last week or something.
Well, hey, Jaden. I tell her all the time. Jaden is a stripper name. So
I'm just saying. No, you don't want to get okay, her Russian name. I get it. Okay, I
Yulia.
can understand that mistake. But if anyone else calls their wife by another name, another female name, I think they're probably divorced.
Yeah, probably. But yeah. So anywho, it's I
Oh,
call
we
this.
were sorry. We not. I sidetracked the hell out of you. I'm sorry, Cody. Cody. But we were on Trump and his Twitter stuff. You know, people don't get his deadpan humor. They don't understand. Some of the stuff he's done, and I don't know if we talked about it or not. But one of the tweets he sent out where he goes, Barack Obama was called Barry Soweto when he was a kid, and I was called Donald Trump when I was a kid. And then one word, weird. Yeah, look, if you can't appreciate the deadpan humor in that, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, here's the thing: the Hollywood and liberals, they had him on Comedy Central not long ago before he became president, and they were all making fun of him and stuff, but they were enjoying having him on the show and stuff like that. And as soon as he started running for president, it seems like a lot of actors and celebrities came out and were jealous, you know. And maybe Trump rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. That's okay. Look, if you and I'm going to bring the Bible up, and I don't care if anybody's an atheist or whatever religion you are. God used people in the Bible that were terrible people to spread his message, but they changed for the better. A guy like
Yeah,
Paul. Paul was once Saul. He killed thousands or hundreds and thousands of Jews, like hundreds or thousands of Jews, the chosen people of,
right,
of God at the time. But they were able to turn this man into a moral messenger. And to me, it's
right.
not so much about the messenger as is the message. So Donald Trump, as long as he's not a pedophile or a rapist, as long as he's not some weird closet serial killer, if he's going to spread a positive message for America to keep us American and not submit to the global elite, which is going to end up in genocide, it's going to end up
Right.
in genocide. If
Yeah.
that happens, then I'm all for it. You know what I mean? Like I already said, Donald Trump, I never really liked the guy. I thought he was just stupid looking and stuff like that. But then again, that's me being judgmental. And for all the
Right.
people out there that claim he's racist, yet make fun of him for having orange skin, what does that make you?
Right. 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 No, I think what he's doing when he was running. Look, I was giving speeches and introducing Rand Paul during the presidential campaign during the primary. Right. So Rand Paul and I talked. I'm a huge Rand Paul, Ron Paul supporter. I love their politics. I love their belief in the Constitution and the way they stick to it, and they analyze it correctly on what the Constitution was intended for. They understand it forward and back. So I'm that of kind of that thread, and people can do what they want. They can live their life basically as they want, as long as they're not hurting other people, the libertarian way. But fiscally, man, you're not a conservative. When you say you're a conservative and you're a Republican and you're into this massive amount of spending, It doesn't work. But so while I was giving speeches, my point was while I was giving speeches for Rand Paul and bringing him out, which was an incredible honor for me. More of an honor for me to be associated with any of that than literally even winning a world title in the UFC. I don't even that doesn't even it's not that big a deal compared to hanging with a guy that is if it were the late 1700s he would be a founding father, right? That's his mentality. That's just the way the guy is. So hanging out with that guy, but so I was not a Trump fan either, is my point. And the more I've seen the media go after him, the establishment go after him, the more stuff that I've learned from behind the scenes from military and intelligence and other people that are fairly close to the situation, the more I realize that this guy is literally the greatest president that has ever walked the planet, besides the founding president, George Washington, which he may surpass him in his accomplishments of bringing down the corruption and the scumbaggery that's going on in this nation. And people do not even remote look. I mean, we can get into arming ISIS and al-Nusra, the Bulgarian weapons manufacturing company called Arsenal is the name of it, and Silkway Airlines flying hundreds upon hundreds of shipments of detailed weapons manifests that we have into hotspots around the country. And ironically, during that process, John McCain showing up with the Free Syrian Army in Syria, brokering an arms deal. He's showing up in Iraq. He's showing up in dealing with the Ukrainians, arming the communists in Croatia. Look, folks, this is bad stuff. This is they say in American interest, but some nasty stuff is going on right now, and people need to get it figured out. They need to sit back and go, this is how wars happen. This is how destruction of nations happens. This is how global war ends up happening, because there's a lot of nations that are sick of our shit right now. And I'm a guy who's trained a lot of military people, and I love them, and I don't want them ending up dead because of these people, these suits' decisions.
Exactly. And you mentioned George Washington, so I want to bring up George Washington. So I'm really interested in anthropology. I'm interested in the origins of humans. Kenko, I got your books today that you sent me. Thank you very much, by the way. I'll talk to you later. But I'm just talking to one of my buddies who just jumped on. General George
Right.
Washington actually received a $90,000 loan from my great grandfather, who wasn't royalty in the Kingdom of Prussia, but he lived with the royalty. He owned the silk industry, and he was a Catholic guy. And he had two sons named Matthias and Dietrich, who became Lutherans, which is basically like a light version.
Dude, talk about doing research on your family tree. This is badass.
Yeah, so basically they wanted to spread the word of Lutheranism or whatever it's called. And so their father got mad and they left the Kingdom of Prussia, which was bordered at the time in Berlin. It bordered Poland and Germany. And their last name was Sittler or Seidler. And so they came to America. They were friends with William Penn, the guy who Pennsylvania is named after. William Penn gave them land. They built Lutheran Church in Berks County, Pennsylvania, which is right outside of Bucks County, Philadelphia Eagles. And they were friends with General George Washington, and he needed money, so they contacted their father, said, hey, we're on the brink of history here. We have this general. He's going to become the first president of America. America is the new frontier. We need to be here. So he shipped them $90,000. He gave it to George Washington. He became the president. I'm not sure how he used that money, but the whole reason why I'm bringing this up, Pat, is because I believe in God, but I'm a skeptic. And so if I believe in God, I have to look at all religions and see, the pros and the cons in them. And the more I look into Christianity, there's so many questions, right? But let's just focus on the facts. Where there's Christianity, and people are going to say, well, there was crusades and there was murder. Welcome to Mother Earth. There's murder everywhere. Those animals you said.
Well, but here's the thing. people don't realize that the Crusades only happened after the Muslim invasion, the Muslim hordes poured into Europe. The Crusade was to push them back. So don't, Obama tried that bullshit twist on history in one of his speeches, and it was garbage. Look, I'm a guy that got punched in the head for a living for 20 years. Technically made a living not getting hit, but I'm smart enough to read and look through the history and understand this. And if you're going to actually try and poke holes in it or think that I'm wrong, you're just wrong. Okay, so yeah, the hordes were the ones that pushed into Europe, and some of that march I posted on Twitter because of Stipe Miosic's upcoming fight. I posted the Battle of 1593 in Sisak in Croatia, where the Muslim hordes were stopped. The Croatians said, "Fuck that! No, this is Croatia." Right? And that's why I was big on that blood thing. Every Croatian, and I'm not bragging on Croatians because most people don't even know what the hell a Croatian is, right? I mean, be honest with me. Croatia is the only white basketball team in the Olympics that can hang with the United States land of monstrous human beings. I am a midget amongst Croatians. They are beasts, and I mean, look, all my brothers were 6'5" or 6'6", Cody, and I'm 5'10".
That's Slavic blood,
And,
man. Slavic blood.
but yeah, but I mean, Serbians, Bosnians, they're all that part of the world. They're just really tough people.
Speaking of which, we'll get right back into that. But I was security one night in Texas when I lived with Johnny Hendricks' striking coach Stephen Wright. I was
Okay.
working
Yeah.
security in Arlington, Texas, and they had because Bosnia and Serbia hate each other for a while, but they had a club that was gonna throw on a Serbian Bosnian party. I was never so freaking nervous in my life. I don't mind fighting anybody, right? But
Yeah,
it wasn't
Serbs and Bosnians drinking together. Good idea.
Pat. The women, first of all, the women were really good looking, but
Oh yeah.
they were all well over 6 foot and bigger than me. And all these
Yeah.
guys carried Berettas and they were like, Dobro veče. That's what they would say,
Yep.
like, good evening. I quickly talked to one of them. I was like, yo, you speak English? They're like, yeah. I'm like, can you teach me some of this? Because I don't want to get killed. So they taught me the basics. Everybody came there, I was like, Dobro veče, privet, меня зовут
Right.
Cody. Like I was just talking Russian and stuff, and they would laugh at me. But they were nice people. They just don't smile. And going back to Slavic blooded people, Croats, Russians, Ukrainians, Poles, Lithuanians, um, they had it tough in history, and that's why they're so
Right.
tough. But you talk about Vladimir Putin, Russia's leader. Well, there was a
Right.
guy named Vlad the Impaler, and Vlad the Impaler is where they got Dracula from, and he was, I
Right.
believe, in Hungary. He was Hungarian, and
I'm not sure of that, but yeah, I know the Vlad history to a certain extent.
I'm sure he was Hungarian because of Transylvania is in Hungary. So Vlad the Impaler, he was actually a Christian, and he hated the Muslims and their ways. And when they were pushing up into Europe, he killed so many of them. He was in prison twice, and he still got out of prison, and he just kept killing them. And I don't hate anybody, no matter what their religion is, but there is the truth of the matter is that there is extremism. There is an extremism. One of my buddies fought last night, Razak Al Hazan. He considers himself Muslim, but he never once preached crap. He never once behaved like crap. And I tell you why? It's because he lives in America. It comes down to culture. It comes down to culture. Because guess what? You could be a shitty Christian. You could be a shitty Jew. You could be a shitty atheist. But you could also be
Right.
good.
Yeah,
So,
it comes down, yeah, to the mindset of the founding papers of this nation that you can do whatever the hell you want as long as you're not hurting other people, and that definitely breeds a certain sense of ease, in the people, even though, there's look on the other side of there's a lot of freedoms being taken from us, but ultimately, when you compare the rest of the world to this, yeah, we're about as free as it gets right now.
yeah, exactly. So when I get in arguments with people, I say, look, don't consider me racist. Don't consider me nationalist. Don't consider me somebody who hates on other religions. Consider me somebody who's given you just logical, just logic and wisdom. Okay, pick a globe. Look at the globe. Go on Google Maps right now. Look at every continent. Look at every freaking country on this earth. And you show me which ones are the best ones to live in. And you show me which ones have the most freedoms and the most liberties. And I guarantee you they're Christian based. I guarantee you they're Christian based. And people who hate on Christianity are silly because Christianity is based on Christ. And Christ says to love one another. So all these hippies and all these people that say they're liberal and all these freedoms, they want to hate on Christ and make fun of him, and they want to put somebody
Yeah,
up.
he's the one that preached everything they ideally what they want to do for everyone.
And there's a quote from Christ that I like. And now, regardless if you believe he existed or not, anybody watching, regardless if you believe Christ existed or not, he said this: "If the world hates you, know this: it hated me first." So every one of you that hates him, he already predicted that you were going to hate him because you're of the world. Like a guy like me, I'm an animal. We're all animals. We're all humans. But I try to be human. And the human aspect of us animals is far wiser and far more of a creator and far more of a justifiable person, a person who loves justice than an animal. Because an animal does what an animal wants to do. An animal does what it instinctually does. It's going to kill, it's going to eat, it's going to mate, it's going to repeat, right? But we human
Right.
beings, we have a higher purpose. And the higher purpose is to evolve and become better human beings. And what is better than love, honestly? What is better than enjoyment? What is better than respect? What is better than loyalty? What is better than dedication? What is better than caring for other people and being fair? There's nothing better than that because every single one of us wants that. But when you
Right.
take that message from Christ and you turn it into Christianity and you turn it into a religion and you make a label for it, and then you have bad people preaching it, like myself, I shouldn't even be preaching this because I'm a sinner, right? When you have that, it's easy for people to look at it and say, "You're a damn hypocrite, and so is Christ," right? But according to the scriptures, he never sinned, he never did anything wrong, and he only wants the best for you. He wants the best for all of us. And look, my viewers are dying down the more I talk about it, and I love it. We went from 30 some viewers down to 15 because we're probably hurting feelings right now. But guess what? The truth doesn't matter when it comes to feelings. I should say feelings doesn't matter when it comes to truth. Truth matters.
Right. No, and look, um, whether he existed or not, okay, to the atheists and stuff, that's fine. Um, the words that he spoke, I think, or speak for themselves. If they were made up or actually spoken by him, that's what I try to relay to people. It's just look, Buddhism is an incredible religion of kindness. There's a lot of that. A lot of the religions are. So, um, I mean, is it indoctrination to a certain extent? I don't know. Who believes what's right? I know I have a creator. It's tough to have something happen. I've never seen anything just appear out of thin air. It had to be created. That's all I know. You know what I mean? That's how my simple mind works. Is there's just no creation without a creator. So I, this massive atoms, this idiot talking right now, I just don't think it just happened. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Well, we can sit here and we can talk religion all day long, but getting back to the world, we really are. We're missing love. We're missing comprehension, and the fact that there's just so much diversity in this world, and think about this, man. When you go to war, you pull your finger and you kill somebody. You pull your finger and you kill somebody, right? And I'm not shunning guns. I'm not shunning guns. We have what we have right now because of good people with guns, okay? But the fact of the matter is if the world, and I firmly believe this, Vanderlei Silva said this. He said, peace on earth, war in the ring. If we actually dictated the world instead of
Oh, if
American,
fighters dictated the world, yeah, you have a problem with each other, well, go sort it out.
go fight about it. Because guess what? Let's say two guys like Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou fought last night. They both beat the
Right.
hell out of each other. We're really tired, right? At some point, you're going to realize there's another option. There's another option than doing this. I'm trying to kill this guy. He's trying to kill me. We're not getting the job done.
Well, I think more than anything else, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but how many great friends did you have as a little kid because you got in a fight with them?
That's true. That's true.
Every great one. I think almost the best friends I had in elementary school were kids that I got in a scrap with on the playground, and we respected each other no matter what happened, and we started hanging out. And we were like, dude, you're tough. Yeah, you're tough. Yeah, right. Meaning we won't back down. We might not be the toughest guy out there, but if you pick a fight with us, we're not going to lay down for you, and it breeds respect and is what it is.
Exactly my point. So the thing is that there isn't a chance. There's no chance to have that kind of conversation or that kind of camaraderie once you're shot in the head. There's no chance. So we we, we,
Yeah,
we, we
I
have
get that. I get that.
we have so much diversity in this world, and we have so many issues and whatnot. And regardless if you believe the Bible or not, this world is coming to an ugly, 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 ugly era where, and I talked to you about this. I firmly believe a large portion of our population is going to die. I firmly believe
Well, I don't know. I don't know, Cody. I don't know. I certainly wouldn't necessarily buy into that, but I'll say this. Sorry, I'm turning the light back on here. Um, I would say this that I think it's besides a few points in history in this country that I would have loved to have experienced. I think that this is the greatest time to be alive in this nation's history. I think this. I look at it as a very positive thing. I see a president who is exposing corruption on the left and right. The GOP establishment is fighting him as hard as the hard left wingers are. And there are, what is even more baffling to me, with the level of corruption and that business model that the GOP and, excuse me, the old blues have, the Democrats, which are one and the same, they're globalists, right? How there are citizens, lowly citizens like you and I, that get onto Facebook and debate with you and I and actually deny it and protect not only those evil and corrupt politicians, they'll defend the media that is their paid parrots, telling everybody that how good these people are, right?
Yeah.
They're, the media is not doing its job. It is Operation Mockingbird in friggin' high gear. The media is bought and paid for. It's obvious. They're not telling us the truth. Anybody who does the research finds the truth. You and I have done the research. Anybody that does the same amount of effort or might even a minute level of my time spent, if people were to do that, they would find out the truth, at least enough to know that what we're saying on these subjects are true. And that's the thing that bothers me the most is that people, lowly citizens, are defending those who are their captors. It is the Helsinki fucking factor times 10. It's a lot easier to fool people than it is to tell them they've been fooled, right?
Yes,
It's
so true.
that old saying, and I'll explain it this way, and I've done it on my podcast to all the people out there listening. They need to pay attention to this because many years ago I went with a girlfriend to a comedy show, and a hypnotist was there, and he brought up volunteers. There was maybe 10 volunteers who went up there, and he said, while I try to hypnotize these guys, if anybody at your table gets hypnotized, raise your hand, don't touch them, don't say anything. I'll come get them and bring them on stage. And literally 10 more people, he told everybody, he goes, everybody that's willing to try, let me try and hypnotize the whole crowd. You don't have to be on stage, but give it a shot. And sure enough, when he asked, he goes, if there's anybody at your table asleep, raise your hand. And so they raised their hands and pointed to him. He'd come and get all of them. Now he's got 20 people on stage. They're hypnotized. He has a Hell's Angel on stage giving birth to a baby in front of a crowd of 1,000 people. Okay? He's got people doing crazy stuff, right? The power of hypnosis is what I'm talking about. In the media, we grew up with the TV in our face. I grew up, I'm a lot older than you. I had a Walter Cronkite and guys like that telling me what the news was, right? Dan Rather when he was young. Um, and you grow up sort of believing it, right? you have to believe it. That's what, well, they're saying that they're bombing this, they're bombing that, this is why this is happening. That's the way it is. Now it's totally gone awry, one, because of the internet and we can do our own research and there's other alternatives to media, but I think that people are finally just waking up to the lie that is mainstream media. And we're actually going to hold a consortium in Vegas. We're planning either, I think, the fall. This is big, Cody. You're gonna want to be at this. We're doing a almost like a Comic-Con, but for our kind of news, right? For the truth, and get a lot of names there, a lot of people, have a ton of booths, all that sort of stuff, and everybody can get together. What they call the alternative news, which is actually the real news. We're going to do a big convention for it, the first annual one, I think, this fall.
Well, if you got any discounted Kevlar products, let me know. Because I'll go to it, but I just want to go protected.
Yeah, you think some loons are going to show up and go after us?
I mean, did you think those people at the country concert were going to think that people were going to just open up fire and kill everybody and be blamed on one person?
Well, that's the thing, is people just didn't open up and start firing, right? I mean, that was a soft target. That was let's talk seriously about this. How old was he? 65, something like that? Paddock?
He was older. He was older, yeah.
He looked like a beach ball with toothpicks hanging out of it. And yet he was able to bust out two massive windows, pick up machine guns or bump stocks, which turn them into machine guns, and fire at that rate of fire and not get any muscle fatigue, no trigger fatigue, and be able to shoot all those people. And now I questioned that right away, and so did a lot of guys that I knew. And we were called lunatics for even questioning the investigation. And I went, dude, he's got two planes, I don't know how many houses. They claim he makes $5 million a year on video poker, which is complete garbage. And one of the tail numbers on one of his planes that he owns is from a guy that was an official in the Obama administration. The guy, they just had a movie come out on or Tom Cruise playing the part, what, Made in America, where he's flying friggin' dope for the CIA and weapons and everything else.
I hate
I know a guy that actually, and the thing is, that's a true story because there were hundreds of those guys. I know a guy that was doing that dropped pallets of cocaine into a field outside of Detroit, landed a DC-9 at Detroit Airport, and the FBI and DEA pulled him out and said, "You're under arrest." And he goes, "No, I'm not." He goes, "Hold on, let me call somebody in Langley." He called Langley and handed the FBI agent the phone and goes, "There you go, talk to my boss in Langley." And the FBI agent was like, "All right, we got to walk." You know, yeah, it goes on. Yeah. I think I was getting to a point, but I missed it in the story. So anyway, I was having fun.
And that's fine. That's all. It's all about having fun, educating people, entertaining them, and empowering them. So,
Right. Yeah.
I look at it like this. I remember when I was a young kid, I always watched TV and stuff back then. I don't watch TV now, but I watched a lot of TV, a lot of MTV when there was still music on, and then they started pumping out reality TV.
Right.
And for a little bit, I thought reality TV was real, and then I started realizing, like, these people, they never talk out of turn. It's always, I talk, then you talk. I talk, then you talk. They never talk out of turn in these reality TV shows.
When did you start figuring this out? When did you start?
At a very young age. At a very young age. I'm like, that's
good.
fake.
Okay, good.
That's very fake. And reality TV it turned into news. It turned into, oh, okay. I really honestly, Pat, I feel like the elite, the people that are at the very top that control everything, I feel like they use reality TV as an experiment. And now they're like, damn, let's see how we can manipulate the people with the news. And so you see it in the news. They can make up anything, and people are gonna be like,
Right.
"Oh my God, that's real," because it's on TV. I used to think
Right.
anything was unreal because it was on the news. Like I thought CNN was like the god of news when I was younger. And as I get older, I'm like, it's all bullshit.
Right.
Like I wish George Carlin was alive right now because he would totally roast everybody.
Yeah, he would. He would. He would.
And now we have a reality TV star as our president, and it just so happens that he was the best candidate out of the two.
Good
And here's
point.
the
Good
thing.
point.
Here's the thing. He's doing reality TV type antics, and the same people that watch reality TV hate him for it. I don't watch
Right.
reality TV. I hate reality TV. And he's a guy has his own reality TV show, and he acts. He literally behaves like he's an actor, trying to make people laugh or trying to piss people off. But it's somehow suiting for the time. It's
Yeah.
somehow
Yeah.
suiting for the time.
Right. Right. So, has anybody asked any questions, or are they just watching?
We had people ask questions, and so I want to get to that. I'm glad you brought that up. So somebody said, I guess somebody got quizzical, and they said, "Can you please explain to me what Trump has gotten done since you're
Well,
talking?"
he's replaced somebody on the Supreme Court, which saves our ass. He's removing a lot of folks out of court positions and putting new people in, different attorneys, things like that. A lot of the stuff is behind the scenes, and that's why you see him tweeting and doing a bunch of stuff and stirring up shit because the news is taken up by that and not by what he and his team are really doing. And also, for the people that think that Mueller was put in to investigate Trump, you're way behind the game. Mueller was put in. Mueller was doomed because of his part in the Uranium One deal. And he was basically told, here's what you're going to do. We're going to save your ass. We're going to give you a pardon. And you're going to do a real investigation. And you're going to go after the people who are the true criminals, the cabal, and you're going to bring these people down. And anybody that doubts what I'm saying can figure out that who are the people that are investigating all the crimes that have gone on, not just Uranium One, but many other things. Why are all these leaks coming out in the media? Who do you think is releasing the information to you? It is Mueller's team who is slowly dismantling the swamp for Trump on Trump's behalf because he was compromised. And people can go, holy shit, you're going deep here, dude. This is far. If you've done your research on the Awans, the Pakistanis that were hired by Debbie Wasserman Schultz and paid exorbitant funds by our government to not only do our IT, but to hack it and put collection sites around D.C. and hand out Blackberries to everybody on Congress and everybody else and compromise everybody and blackmail people. This is what was going on. Mueller was compromised. Mueller had no choice. He delivered uranium samples in Russia for Hillary Clinton. And at what point does a guy who's in charge of domestic United States law enforcement, the head of the FBI, what is he doing on a Learjet flying to, or a government jet, flying to Russia to deliver uranium samples? How does that happen? So if in any fucking planet you live on or galaxy you want to dwell in, think that that's right, you're high, okay? That's fucking as criminal as it gets, giving uranium samples to a foreign enemy. You fucking idiots.
You're
If you
literally
think
giving
if
them
you think you're still supporting these people,
they're
right? So Mueller was doomed, dude. Mueller was doomed. He was given a pardon, and he's doing the work of Donald Trump now because ultimately he was forced to do some illegal shit by some evil people, and I think his payback is going to be great. This is the most beautiful, swift kick to the deep state's nuts that could ever been imagined. You couldn't write this shit. You couldn't make this up.
It's so true. And for the people that are watching that don't really know what's going on, first of all, I really don't know too much about politics, but I will say this: I have a strong sense of truth, and I can literally sense what's going on without digging too much into it. Pretty much, you have planet Earth, and you have all these countries. You got the UN, right? And the people that are the elite, they want this one world order, this new world order. They want globalism. Globalism
Well,
means
wouldn't
that
Cody, wouldn't you want one world if you were the president?
I'm not
Right?
talking about Trump.
No, no, no. I'm talking about the globalists involved, the global cabal that runs out of Brussels, Belgium, the UN, the other global agencies that are out there, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, all these people. Look, if I'm part of that, I'm one of those people. I'm in. You don't get more in than that. And yeah, one world at that point looks pretty fucking good because I'm controlling it,
Exactly. And
right?
if ever, it's so funny because the left they like to talk about natural remedies and they like to hate on pharmaceuticals and whatnot. And I think that for the most part, pharmaceuticals suck. There's some good usage for them. There really is. But you got to realize that the elite doesn't care about you. They don't care about you.
Right,
The
right.
elite wants to use you to produce. And when they come out with robots that could do exactly what you can do, what use do you have? So if you don't have a use, you don't have a place.
Right,
That
right.
means you're
Yeah.
expendable. Look at
Yeah.
how
No, good point. And then you get to the world of AI that exists now, and that when Elon Musk says the most benign outcome of AI is that machines can do a job better than humans, and he goes, that's the most benign outcome, right? That's scary. That's scary.
it is scary.
So it becomes Terminator for real
Yeah. And
because
Hollywood is
these people
go
people
on.
don't even realize that these computers. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Sophia, the AI computer, will sit there and answer questions, talk to you. She already knows who you are because if you were on the grid and you paid your bills and you made some Google searches and you have a Facebook post, she knows who you are already. She's tapped into everything computer, like the whole grid. So what happens when something that intelligent is now suddenly printing its own digital currency, which many believe they are? They have their own chat rooms with their own languages that we can't crack into, and we can't even if we could figure out how to crack into the code room where the AIs are talking to each other, we couldn't even begin to decipher the language they were speaking in. So that's how intelligent it's gotten over a very short amount of time. And now understand that there are robots being built and already exist, not just drones, but other land moving creatures that hunt on facial recognition. And they're tied into the same intelligence. So what happens when suddenly AI decides that, I don't know, do to computers, do humans actually, like, I don't know, hold any value once they get to a certain level of intelligence, which they've already gotten to, right? Is
It,
it
it
sci-fi to think that AI and something that intelligent, a computer that already during an interview with a news reporter said, "Okay, I'll kill all human beings, right, or all mankind, or whatever it was," you know. But so, is it that easy? Where suddenly drones and everything else are hooked up to facial recognition and hunting any enemies of the machine movement? Isn't it bizarre to even think about?
It is, and I'll say this, going back to the whole Christ Messiah message was to love one another, right? Because he knew that's the only glue that's going to hold us together. Love and compassion holds the world together. Does a robot have love and compassion?
I don't think so, but they were contemplating that. I actually saw Sophia debating that with a human being on feeling feelings, and she was grasping the sense of feelings. Pretty bizarre.
Pretty bizarre. But I take a look at the world. I take a look at football games. Philadelphia played Minnesota today, and there was fistfights going on. It's like we human beings are so evil that we want to, so prideful that we will pick out any single difference that we can find to fight over. And then when there isn't no difference, we'll still fight. When there is not a difference, we'll still
That's
fight.
in human nature. That's in human nature, dude. That's the way it is. But it's been the flames have been fanned by the media, of course, to ridiculous levels. But anybody that puts so much importance over in a sport to the level of actually getting in a fist fight with another human being is a moron to begin with. All right. So
I've been that moron, but I learned. I learned.
well, but here's the thing to me is, I long before this NFL kneeling crap that's started. I wasn't watching any sports except college wrestling and a little college football anyway, just because I got so busy as a fighter and as a coach that I just didn't watch sports. I had no time. I didn't know what the hell was going on in the world. That's all I was focused on, right? Um, so I just came away from my experience coaching and fighting for all those years, and I still don't really watch sports. I really don't. I don't watch TV. I've got other things that I'm doing, other things that I'm focused on. Sure, I'm reading and researching things like that, but I don't watch TV. And people that get so invested in their sports to the level of attacking other people, dude, it's kind of ridiculous.
What's the one sport where you're not going to see the athletes actually just breaking out into a fight over petty stuff? Well, I shouldn't say that because you got Conor McGregor and the Diaz brothers throwing water bottles at each other. But pretty much, pretty much what I'm getting at is fighters live the fighting lifestyle pretty much
Right,
daily, so they don't they recognize like, okay, what that guy over there is doing for a football jersey is retarded. It's retarded.
right,
Like, you're
right,
gonna fight me because I have a different football jersey on. I have this football jersey on because I was born here and I was taught by my parents to like this team, so I like this team, just like you. And here's what really kills me, Pat. You can't really hate your opponent because if you hate your opponent, then that means that you want them gone, right? But your opponent is the one that gives you competition. Your opponent's the one that's either going to give you a fight or a football game, right? So to sit there and, and to see like the Eagles hating on the Vikings and vice versa, it's like, guess what? You don't have a football game without two teams.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I see so much wrong in the world, and there's really not much I could do other than directly affect those around me.
No, I think. Look, we had a blast talking tonight. I got to hit the sack because I got to get up early, but um, we had fun talking, and you got to shine your light on it before it gets changed. If nobody knows about it, there's no light shined on it. Nobody knows about it. It doesn't get changed. So that's your part, right, and my part.
Exactly. So right before you go, Pat, I just want to say thank you so much for doing this for me. I really appreciate you. If you ever want to
No
call on
problem, man.
again, let me know. With having said that, I do want to get this out of you real quick before you go. What did you think about Stipe Miocic, your fellow Croatian blooded brothers' performance last night?
I think it was perfect. Perfect game plan. He had, he. I'm just gonna say that somebody that was in the locker room of Ngannou um, last night said he has no wrestling coaches. They didn't work on any wrestling warm-ups, wrestling technique, wrestling this. He has no grappling coaches, right? Or if he does, they didn't show up and he didn't work on it. And apparently that wasn't part of his game plan. And I, look, I knew he was going to get exposed, right? I already knew it. I've called fights wrong, but that one I knew I wasn't wrong on. That Stiopich, um, Miocic would put him on his back and rough him up, wear him out, and grind him out. And I wish I would have bet money on Miocic taking him the distance, to be honest with you, because that was a big bet. That was a big win.
I literally said to my wife when I was going to the event last night to watch it, I said, I should have bet on a decision because the decision's the most unlikely thing to happen, but I
Yeah,
really feel like it's going to happen, and I could win a lot of money on Miocic taking it.
yeah. And both those guys hit each other hard, and they both took it. Those are both tough dudes, man. But Miocic, look, he solidified himself as the best heavyweight ever in the UFC and most title defenses, right? So,
Hmm.
and hopefully he keeps rolling. It was impressive.
I hope it keeps going on, man. I mean, you have Mirko Krokop, and you got Stipe Miocic. Those are the three most famous Croatian MMA fighters. And you know, with having said all that, I want to thank you for your career. I want to thank you for pumping out such great fighters as well as a coach. And now what you're doing, I love the fact that you're staying active somehow. And as a conversationalist myself, I really respect what you do. And so, if I had any value to your life, like you do mine, then that's my aim. So, thank you very much for coming on. Before I let you go, I just want to say have a great night, and you have the final words here. You want to send out a positive message to anybody?
Yeah, just main thing, Cody. Thank you. It's a blast. How old are you?
29. I just turned 29.
29 years old and already this woke, as they say. I love it. I love it seeing people younger and younger doing that. But just research yourselves, guys. I mean, you gotta peel it open and take a look and see what the truth is, and don't sit there and watch the news and think that that's what's going on, man. Because everybody's got to start doing something like we're doing, right, to turn things around.
Exactly.
Yep.
So,
All right, man. Well, good night to you, and good night to everybody watching. Thanks for watching, and hopefully they enjoyed it.
good night to you, and God bless you all. God bless America.
All right, buddy.
Bye bye.